Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another Top 10 video. And for this week, we're going to be taking a look at the PlayStation 5. It's hard to believe, but the PlayStation 5 is almost 1 year old, and I think it quietly had a fantastic year. I think it's actually overlooked how good of a year the PlayStation 5 actually had. Actually, I think this video here will highlight just how good of a first year the PlayStation 5 really had. You know, we have plenty of good multi-platform games here, as well as several exclusives. So we're going to be diving into all of that today as we take a look at the top 15 best PlayStation 5 games as of this video. Now, with this video, I did go ahead and decide to only include new releases. So, re-releases such as Death Stranding, the Neo Collection, and Ghost of Tsushima are not included on this list. These are newly released games. Other than that, though, let's just go and jump right into the video. And to start this list off, I have Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is just a little bit different than other Little Big Planet games. Typically, when it comes to these games, these are 2D platformers, but here with Sackboy: A Big Adventure, this is actually a 3D collectathon platformer. However, it also shares several things in common with the Little Big Planet franchise. For one, this game is incredibly charming, it's super creative, and it's just always such a joy and delight to play. But truthfully, it does feel good as a 3D platformer. I think the mechanics feel really good. It has plenty of gadgets to kind of mix up the gameplay. The levels are very creative and offers a lot of different variety. And something that kind of stands out when it comes to this game is that it also has good cooperative gameplay. Yeah, this is a great family game to pick up as well, as it's not a very stressful or over-challenging game, though it does have a time attack game mode that does offer quite a bit of challenge if that is something that you're looking for. Assassin's Creed Valhalla continues the long-running Assassin's Creed franchise, but this time, you're taking the role of a Viking. And with that, this game has very brutal combat. Of course, that is something that you would expect being a Viking this time around. Valhalla, though, does continue that trend of some of the more recent Assassin's Creed games with including RPG mechanics. Now, some fans may like this while others don't, but if you do like that RPG element, then you're probably going to like Assassin's Creed Valhalla because it is one of the better recent entries and they have refined the RPG elements just a bit. Now, it also has a solid story, a big, vast open world to explore, and visually it looks really good as well. Now, this next one here is not necessarily going to be for everybody, being Returnal. And the reason for that is because this game is an incredibly challenging roguelike game. I think for a lot of fans out there, roguelikes are intimidating just because if you die, you have to start all the way back from the beginning. And when it comes to Returnal, I mean, this game is quite a challenge, and its save features can be a little controversial as well. With all that said, though, Returnal is an incredibly fun game as well, offering tight third-person shooting mechanics. This is one of the better third-person shooters on the market right now, and the way its gameplay works, I mean, you can really tell this one is coming from Housemarque. Housemarque typically has developed arcade games in the past, such as Resogun, and you can really see that with Returnal and its neon lights and the fast and fluid gameplay. It almost feels like a dance, combining all of the different mechanics to go up against your enemies, but again, just keep in mind that Returnal is a very challenging game. In a world where we really don't get many of these big stealth-based games anymore, such as Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid, well, we might actually have got one of the best games in this genre that we've seen in a very long time, being Hitman 3. Basically, with Hitman 3, it puts you into this playground where you have to assassinate a target. And that's where the fun begins, because as you explore each level, you slowly and methodically find ways to assassinate your target. You can either be as straightforward as you want, or you can be as creative as you possibly can. It really is completely up to you, and thanks to the amazing level design, not only is it fun to play through, but it also offers a lot of replayability. Immortals Fenyx Rising is probably the most surprising game for me this generation so far, as it really had me hooked from the very first moment that I played this game. Sure, it does have that cartoony art style to it, though I really don't think trailers and videos showcases just how good this game looks. At times, this game can visually look very stunning when you actually play it on a 4K TV. Where I think this game really shines, though, is with its sense of humor and then its gameplay. Genuinely, I did find this to be a funny game with the characters bantering back and forth. It's something that immediately stood out to me when it came to this game, and it just made me enjoy the story that much more. As for the gameplay though, this one does take some cues from Zelda Breath of the Wild. You can climb up mountains, you have that glide mechanic, there's also different mounts that you can ride across the world, and there's even dungeons and puzzles along the way. So it does have some similarities with Zelda Breath of the Wild, though where I think it really separates itself is in with its combat. The combat is fast-paced and flashy, and there's also several different RPG elements as well. You can upgrade your weapons and armor along the way, and truthfully, I think this is just a good open world game from top to bottom. This game, in my opinion, is definitely being overlooked. And here I have Spider-Man Miles Morales, the follow-up to Spider-Man 2018. Now, this game isn't necessarily drastically different compared to Spider-Man 2018, nor does it have to be. It's still incredibly fun, with some extra abilities along the way. You are playing as a different Spider-Man that has his own unique abilities, though he is a little bit inexperienced compared to Peter Parker, and, well, New York definitely realizes that. It's also got an entertaining story with a lot of personality. It may be a little on the shorter side of things. It took me roughly 6 hours to complete, but when you combine the fun gameplay that Spider-Man brings, plus an entertaining story, this is an experience well worth it. For a long time, there was some fans out there that was kind of concerned about Kena Bridge of Spirits, but now that it's out, well, we can actually see how good it is. Not only is this game absolutely gorgeous, which we could see from the very first moment that we laid eyes on this game. I mean, we're talking about Pixar-esque graphics. This visually is probably one of the prettiest games out right now. But in terms of gameplay, it actually kind of plays similar to your classic Zelda games. And hey, as a big Zelda fan, especially your classic Zelda games, yeah, I'm all for that. Kena Bridge of Spirits, though, has this beautifully crafted semi-open world that as you unlock more abilities, you can progress even further. I think where this game's the most surprising, though, is in terms of its combat. At first, it does seem a little simplistic, but as you gain additional abilities, there's a little bit more depth to it than what you might realize. It will offer a challenge at times. Then you also have plenty of puzzles along the way, and then some nice platforming as well. And I think just in terms of its overall gameplay, I mean, not only is this game pretty to look at, but it is fun to play. As a lot of you all probably know in the channel, I am a big Yakuza fan, and I mean, the good news here is that we already have a few different Yakuza games to play on the PlayStation 5. First off, you have Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is a little bit different than some of the games that we've seen in the past. Instead of this game sporting that beat-em-up style of gameplay, instead, this game plays out like a turn-based JRPG. And you would think that that is a weird combo for a Yakuza game, but it actually surprisingly works very well. If you do prefer that action-based combat, though, you can instead play Judgment and then Lost Judgment, which are spin-offs to the Yakuza franchise. There's going to be more of an investigative component in this game because you are playing as a detective in this one, but once again, both of these games just excel when it comes to their story. I've always said this, but I really do believe that these games are among the very best story-driven games. There's just so many twists and turns along the way. They have a great cast of characters. It is so atmospheric being in Japan, and really, if you like good story-driven games, you definitely need to check out the Yakuza games and then Judgment. The Tales of series is a long-running JRPG franchise that fans of the genre know very well. I mean, they've made some really good games in the past, and personally, Tales of Vesperia is one of my favorites within the genre. But now, with Tales of Arise, they seem to have taken a step forward. This game is a legitimate AAA JRPG, and this is exactly what the franchise needed. It needs to be treated similar to franchises such as Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, and that is what we're seeing here with Tales of Arise. Now, I'm still playing through this one as I'm juggling a couple of different games as of this moment, but when it comes to Tales of Arise, first off, it's a beautiful game in general, but I also like its story as well as its combat. Now, the story has you playing as a slave that has amnesia and cannot feel pain. Of course, having a protagonist that has amnesia is pretty typical when it comes to JRPGs, but I really do think that the story is interesting right out of the gate when it comes to Tales of Arise. As for its action-driven combat, I think it's a lot of fun. You have a party of characters who all have their own unique abilities, and you can get up close and personal, hack and slash your way through, but then you mix in their magic-based art. You can kind of use some tag team attacks to extend your combos, and it's fast, fluid, and it just feels right. For years on this channel, I would say that Astrobot for the PlayStation VR headset was one of the best 3D platformers that I had ever played. And all these years later, I still stand by that. But here we have Astro's Playroom, which I think equally stands toe-to-toe with Astrobot. Instead of showcasing the PlayStation VR headset, though, with Astro's Playroom, it's instead showcasing the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. And it's almost unbelievable on how good of a job they did with this. Like, the amount of things that they did with the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller in this game is not only creative and innovative, but it was also incredibly fun. I think from the first moment that you play Astro's Playroom, you immediately kind of get hooked into its world just because of how charming it is. It kind of meshes this entire PlayStation universe into one singular game. You can see all of these PlayStation cameos make appearances in this game. I mean, you're going to see God of War's Kratos, you're going to see characters from the Tekken franchise, you're going to see Killzone characters, and you're just going to see loads of other characters from all of these games that you've played through all of the PlayStation consoles over the years, and it's just such a nostalgic trip. But it's not just nostalgia and charm, because this game is also very well designed. It's got a creative level design. The music is outstanding. The 3D platforming mechanics are tight and feel responsive. And really, Team Asobi's talent is just on full display here with Astro's Playroom. They really are a team to watch out for this generation. And what's kind of crazy about all this is this game comes completely free installed with the PlayStation 5. It's not even been an entire year for the PlayStation 5, and it's already got its first big Resident Evil game, being Resident Evil Village. The Resident Evil games have always been a beloved survival horror franchise with that almost Metroidvania style of gameplay. And well, Village continues just that, but it's a tad bit different than more of your classic style Resident Evil games. Instead of this being a third-person shooter, much like Resident Evil 7, this is actually a first-person shooter. This is a little bit different for Resident Evil games, but some fans will actually consider this to be an overall more immersive experience because of that first-person view. First person has always felt really good when it comes to survival horror games, and Resident Evil is really no different when it comes to that. This game is going to strike terror in you as you kind of explore its haunted world, and that's something else that's kind of different when it comes to Village. Unlike some of the past games where it mainly focuses on zombies, there's actually quite a different enemy archetypes in this game, including werewolves and even vampires. I would also say that Resident Evil Village hosts quite a few different memorable villains that's going to stick with you for quite a while, and as you'd come to expect from the Resident Evil franchise, the story is always entertaining, if not just a little bit crazy at times. Deathloop is probably one of the most innovative games that's released for the PlayStation 5 thus far, and that's for various reasons. Now, Arcane has always kind of excelled when it comes to game design and giving players the choice in how they want to complete their goal, and that's exactly what you see with Deathloop. Though this one might be their most inventive yet. So basically, you play as this guy named Colt that wakes up on an island, and he keeps reliving the same day over and over again. You go out and murder, then you die, then you repeat. This happens time and time again, and the only way to break this loop is by killing 8 different leaders across the entire island in a single given day. Yeah, that sounds like quite a challenge, but as you strategize and unlock more abilities, you'll find new and easier ways to assassinate your targets. Maybe you find a new route that you didn't see before that kind of opens up in a different time of the day. It really rewards you for your critical thinking and strategizing for each day. You can either take the stealth approach, or you can just kind of go in guns blazing. Though early on, you'll probably lean a little bit more on the stealth side of things, or at least until you unlock some more abilities. As you progress in the game and you unlock even more abilities, this will give you even more options in how you want to approach each situation. Once again, though, Arcane just combined brilliant level design with elegant game design. The Ratchet & Clank franchise has always been insanely fun, mixing in its 3D platforming with that action style of combat. It just gives you so many innovative and creative weapons and gadgets to play around with. And with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, it once again absolutely excels when it comes to the fun factor. I think its combat and platforming is brilliantly fun. Visually though, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is quite a looker, and not just because of that Pixar-like graphics, but also with its level design. You're going to travel to quite a few different planets, and one of the selling points for this game is its fast loading times between rift to rift. This allows for some really spectacular set pieces and some creative ways to mix that in with its gameplay. And then to just kind of top it all off, I think Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart has an enjoyable story. I mean, the characters have always been a strong point when it comes to the Ratchet & Clank franchise, but I think with Rift Apart, I think they took the story to the next level, and I really like how they mixed the new characters in with Rift Apart. This one might surprise some people just because of how high I have this one on the list, but I genuinely do believe that It Takes Two is an absolute masterpiece. Now, It Takes Two is a mandatory cooperative 3D platformer, but do not let that hold you back. If you do actually buy this game, it will come with a free friend pass, which means you can invite any friend you want to online, and they can play completely free of charge. So this being a mandatory cooperative game isn't really much of a problem. Where this game truly shines though is in its gameplay and its insane amount of creativity. This game has some of the most creative levels that I have seen in any video game, bar none. Like every time you go to a new level in It Takes Two, you think, how can they possibly top this? And then you go to the next level and then it just completely blows your mind all over again. They are always doing something just a little bit different in It Takes Two, and it is absolutely insane from beginning to end. It always offers a variety of gameplay as well. This is an asynchronous cooperative game actually, so both players will take on slightly different roles depending on what level you're playing, and it just always has you doing something slightly different than what you did before. So repetition's never really a problem either, and I also would say that it has a well-told story that's both humorous and deep at the same time. And at the number one spot, I have none other than the game that kicked off the Soulsborne genre, being Demon's Souls. This is a remake of the PlayStation 3 classic, and this game looks absolutely stunning. Visually, this is probably one of the best looking games out right now, and it's an early showcase of what the PlayStation 5 is capable of. But the thing about Demon's Souls is that it just plays so perfectly. Of course, the Soulsborne games have always been well known for the challenge, and that's exactly what Demon's Souls is going to offer here. You're going to have that precise combat. It's got that atmospheric world. It's got brilliantly designed boss encounters, and it all just feels so perfect. But unlike the Dark Souls games, Demon's Souls instead has you traveling to different monuments, which is basically unique worlds split up with boss encounters for each checkpoint. And in ways, I actually do prefer that more linear style of gameplay. Coming from somebody who doesn't necessarily believe that open worlds automatically means better, I hold well-crafted level design in high regards. And with Demon's Souls, its level design is not only fantastic, but it's just so atmospheric at the same time. And really, I'm not exaggerating on how much I like this game. I rarely ever do this, but I did actually platinum Demon's Souls. I mean, I've been earning PlayStation trophies since the PlayStation 3 era, and in that entire time, I have less than 10 total platinum trophies, one being with the Demon's Souls remake. And it's because I just enjoyed this game so much. Now, I know everybody's different, but if you're looking for a game that's graphically stunning, has rewarding and challenging combat, well-made boss encounters with great level design, then look no further than Demon's Souls. Anyways, though, that's it for this list, but if I forgot to mention any of your favorite games, make sure to let me know in the comments below. With that said, if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.